You've probably noticed how some people seem to have a natural gift for attraction. In reality, it's not a gift. It's tested and proven techniques. Studies show that 78% of women are more attracted to the way a man communicates than to his appearance. Today I'm going to reveal 3 phrases that, when used at the right moment, can spark genuine interest in any woman. They are simple words, but they speak directly to the feminine heart. The truth about female desire is much more complex than many men imagine. There is no universal magic formula, but rather a deep understanding of the emotional nuances that drive female interest. Women are not objects to be won over, but complex beings with unique desires, fears, expectations, and dreams. Female desire manifests in extremely sophisticated ways, varying according to personal experiences, social context, and emotional connection. Psychologists and relationship experts confirm that women place much more value on the quality of communication than on grand gestures or standardized approaches. A woman can feel attraction to different aspects of a man: his emotional intelligence, his listening skills, his vulnerability, or even the subtlety with which he conducts a conversation. Tone of voice, subtle gestures, and the ability to create a safe environment for emotional expression are fundamental elements in this dynamic. Vulnerability emerges as a transformative element. When a man can express his feelings genuinely, without masks or artificial defenses, he naturally evokes interest. It's not about fragility, but authenticity, the ability to show one's true emotions without fear of judgment. Understanding female desire means deconstructing outdated stereotypes and realizing that each woman is a unique universe. What works for one may not work for another. The key lies in careful observation, active listening, and respecting individualities. Interestingly, research reveals that women are much more sensitive to emotional stimuli than to purely physical ones. A glance, a well-placed word, or a delicate gesture can be much more seductive than any direct or invasive approach. Emotional connection is established through moments of true intimacy, where both feel safe to share their true emotions. It is a delicate process that requires patience, respect, and a deep understanding that relationships are built, not conquered. The importance of context reveals itself as a fundamental element in the art of communication and attraction. It is not enough to master magical words. It is essential to deeply understand the environment, the moment, and the subtleties of human interaction. Each setting carries a unique energy, an atmosphere that can either enhance or completely neutralize your intentions. Imagine a lively party full of loud music and euphoric people. This scenario calls for a completely different approach than a casual meeting in a quiet cafe. Sensitivity to perceive the ideal moment arises from careful observation and the ability to read nonverbal signals. A woman who is focused on work, stressed, or visibly busy will not be receptive the same way as someone relaxed and available for conversation. Understanding the context also means assessing the nature of the prior relationship. If there is already a connection, be it a friendship, a professional contact, or a casual encounter, the approach strategy will be entirely different. The intimacy and prior knowledge allow for more sophisticated nuances of communication. Quiet environments where conversation can flow without external noise tend to be more conducive to deep dialogues. A conversation in a park, over an afternoon coffee, or at a more intimate cultural event provides ideal conditions for authentic and meaningful communication. Equally important is avoiding inappropriate contexts. Moments of professional stress, formal meetings, situations where the person is clearly uncomfortable or accompanied by others who may create embarrassment are entirely unsuitable for intimate or personal approaches. True mastery lies in dynamically adapting. There is no rigid manual, but rather a subtle ability to read the environment and people. Every interaction is unique. Each moment carries its own energy and potential. Developing this perception requires practice, self-awareness, and above all, respect. It is not about manipulation, but about creating genuine connections where both feel comfortable and valued. Context is not merely a backdrop. It is a fundamental character in this delicate dance of communication and mutual interest. Now let's dive into a powerful phrase that can completely transform the dynamics of an interaction. I find it very different when there is passion. This expression is not just a set of words, but a communication tool that can awaken deep emotions and create an instant connection. Imagine the scenario. You are talking to someone interesting and notice a moment of emotional openness. It is at that precise moment that the phrase gains its true strength. The secret lies not in the words themselves, but in the way they are pronounced, with a soft tone of voice, direct eye contact, and authentic vulnerability. The power of this phrase resides in its ability to provoke curiosity. By mentioning passion, you create a subtle invitation for a deeper conversation. It's not a generic comment, but a statement that suggests intense and meaningful emotional experiences. The impact will be completely different depending on the context. In a light conversation about careers, for instance, you might relate passion to work. In a more intimate moment, the same phrase could suggest a deeper emotional connection. The key lies in the subtlety and genuineness with which it is delivered. Psychologically, this phrase works because it awakens the human need to share emotions. When someone realizes that you value intense and authentic experiences, they naturally feel more attracted and interested in knowing your thoughts. Delivery is crucial. A monotonous tone will destroy any possibility of impact. In contrast, a delivery full of emotion, with strategic pauses and a facial expression that conveys sincerity, can create an instant connection. It's important to emphasize that there is no manipulation here. The real magic happens when you genuinely feel what you are saying. Authenticity is the fuel that transforms a simple phrase into an unforgettable moment of human connection. Vulnerability surfaces as a transformative element. By mentioning passion, you place yourself in an emotionally open position, signaling that you are willing to go beyond superficial conversations. This willingness is extremely attractive and sets you apart. Therefore, use this phrase not as a trick but as a genuine communication tool. Let your personality, your real emotions, and your authenticity guide the moment. True seduction happens when we are completely ourselves. The chemistry between two people represents a fascinating phenomenon that transcends simple physical attraction. When we talk about, I think it's important to have chemistry between the couple, we are entering an extremely sophisticated territory of human relationships. Non-verbal signals play a fundamental role in this dynamic. A lingering gaze, a subtle smile, an accidental brush of hands. These are micro-interactions that reveal much more than words. Chemistry manifests in those subtle moments where communication happens beyond the verbal. Imagine a date where two bodies move in an invisible dance of harmony. Gestures become fluid, pauses gain meaning, and the space between you seems to electrify. It's not something forced. It simply emerges naturally when there is true connection. After mentioning chemistry, it's essential to create an environment conducive to deepening the connection. A smart follow-up might involve asking about personal experiences, seeking to understand what the other person considers a genuine connection. Curiosity becomes your main ally in this moment. The emotional atmosphere needs to be delicately constructed. It's not enough to just utter the words. It's necessary to convey a genuine openness to understand the other's world. Vulnerability emerges as a transformative element, allowing both to feel secure enough to explore this potential chemistry. Neurologically, when we talk about chemistry, we activate brain centers related to emotional connection. Our brain seeks patterns of safety, empathy, and compatibility. The right words can trigger a cascade of sensations and positive predispositions. The key lies in authenticity. Any simulation will be quickly perceived. Women have an acute sensitivity to detecting manipulations. Therefore, when you mention chemistry, you need to genuinely be interested in understanding the essence of the person before you. Real magic occurs when this phrase arises naturally, as a subtle invitation for a deeper conversation. It is not a conquest technique, but a genuine opening for meaningful connections that transcend superficiality. The third phrase, desire becomes, much stronger when there is a deep emotional connection, represents a gateway to transformative understandings about intimacy and human relationships. It is not just a declaration, but an invitation to explore complex and fascinating emotional territories. When we talk about deep emotional connection, we are referring to something far beyond superficial conversations or casual interactions. It involves a state where two people can genuinely see each other, understand their vulnerabilities, fears, dreams, and most intimate expectations. The depth of this connection transcends physical barriers, creating a sacred territory of complicity. In this space, desire emerges not merely as a sexual impulse, but as a shared energy, a silent dialogue between two souls who recognize and mutually respect one another. The secret to deepening this conversation lies in active listening. It's not enough to simply utter beautiful words. It is essential to be genuinely interested in the other's universe. Finding common themes, understanding the nuances of personal stories, demonstrating authentic curiosity about the experiences that shaped that person. Psychologically, when we create an environment where both feel secure to share their true emotions, we trigger an extremely powerful connection process. The brain releases neurotransmitters like oxytocin, known as the love and connection hormone, creating a nearly magical harmony. Vulnerability emerges as a central element in this dynamic. By revealing intimate aspects of yourself, you signal that you are willing to go beyond social masks, creating an invitation for a truly meaningful interaction. It is not about exposing weaknesses, but about demonstrating emotional courage. It is important to understand that this phrase does not function as a manipulative technique, but as a genuine communication channel. Its potency lies in the authenticity with which it is pronounced, in the real intention to establish a deep and respectful connection. Every word needs to be filled with intent. Every pause should convey the depth of what is being communicated. Eye contact, tone of voice, and body language all contribute to creating this emotionally intimate atmosphere where desire truly flourishes. Authenticity emerges as the true foundation of any significant human connection. It's not enough to just memorize phrases or approaches. The secret lies in the ability to be genuinely yourself, without masks or artifices that obscure your true essence. Behaviors that denote a lack of authenticity are easily identifiable. Standardized responses, rehearsed speech, mechanical gestures that do not reflect true internal feelings. When someone is not authentic, they exude an artificial energy that repels rather than attracts. Authenticity reveals itself in the small details, in direct eye contact, in the way you listen, in the willingness to show vulnerabilities. It's about having the courage to be imperfect, to show your true emotions without fear of judgment. It means being willing to reveal yourself as you truly are, with all your complexities and contradictions. Developing self-confidence becomes a fundamental element in this journey. Practices like self-awareness, meditation, therapy, and journaling can expand your internal understanding. The more you know yourself, the more natural your authentic expression becomes. Practical exercises can help in this construction. Keeping an emotions journal, practicing honest communication with close friends, seeking sincere feedback about your behaviors are powerful strategies to develop this essential skill. True seduction does not happen through manipulative techniques, but through the capacity to be absolutely sincere. Women are extremely sensitive to authentic energies, quickly perceiving any attempts at pretense or performativity. When you fully accept yourself, with qualities and flaws, you transmit a magnetic energy. Your internal security becomes an almost irresistible attraction field. It's not about perfection, but about genuine acceptance of who you are. The journey towards authenticity is a continuous process of self-discovery. It requires courage to deconstruct social masks, vulnerability to show your true feelings, and above all, deep respect for yourself. Remember, your individuality is your greatest treasure. Each person carries a unique story, a particular way of seeing the world. When you embrace this uniqueness, you become irresistibly attractive, not through external techniques, but through the strength of your true essence. Practicing the communication techniques we've shared requires courage, willingness to step out of your comfort zone, and above all, a lighthearted and experimental attitude. Creating safe environments to develop these skills becomes fundamental in this journey of self-awareness and interpersonal connection. Support groups can be excellent laboratories for this practice. Imagine meetings with friends where the goal is not to judge but to mutually support the development of communication skills. In these spaces, you can test different approaches, receive constructive feedback, and gradually gain confidence. An interesting personal challenge might be to establish weekly or monthly social interaction goals. For instance, committing to initiate 3 meaningful conversations with different people during the month, focusing not on results, but on the learning process. The key is to reinterpret the concept of failure. Every interaction that doesn't go as planned is, in fact, a precious opportunity for growth. Constant practice develops an almost intuitive social intelligence. The more you expose yourself, the more natural it becomes to create authentic connections. It's not about perfection, but rather progression. Every conversation, every smile, every glance becomes a laboratory for interpersonal experimentation. It's important to demystify the fear of failure. Many people become paralyzed by the fear of rejection or looking awkward. In reality, the vulnerability of trying is infinitely more attractive than the rigidity of never taking a risk. Women value the courage to try much more than an artificial performance of confidence. It's also recommended to document your experiences. A social interactions journal can reveal interesting patterns, helping you understand your own relational dynamics. Which phrases worked? In which contexts did you feel more comfortable? What were your biggest challenges? The practice should be light, fun, and pressure-free. Transform this learning into a personal discovery journey, not a conquest mission. The ultimate goal is not to win over someone, but rather to establish meaningful and genuine human connections. Remember, each person is a unique universe. What works at one moment may not work at another. Flexibility, active listening, and respect are your greatest allies in this delicate art of communication and human connection. The conclusion of this guide represents a transformative invitation to a journey of self-awareness and genuine human connection. More than just conquest techniques, we share a philosophy of communication that values authenticity and mutual respect. The 3 phrases presented are merely tools to awaken true connection, where vulnerability and active listening become central elements. We invite each viewer to reflect on their own experiences, share learnings, and build meaningful relationships that go far beyond superficial or manipulative approaches.